The number 2 nozzle won't work either.
What? Are you for real? We can't live
Oh,
without
well.
them. I knew I should
Whatever
have come
happens,
here. I'm only 18.
happens.
I don't want to die.
It's a trap!
Alright, the moment we've all been waiting for. I finally sat down and watched this show against my better judgment, and I can honestly say wholeheartedly, no cap in any way, shape, or form, that Netflix's Cowboy Bebop series is not that great.
I hate this channel.
It's no big secret that when it comes to live action stuff that is based off of anime, video games, or even comics, that Hollywood can either hire somebody that knows exactly what the hell they're doing, or they just love taking what we love and butt ramming it straight into the dirt. And no one has become more prominent with that practice than Netflix, especially when it comes to their live action anime products like Death Note, Bleach, now they're coming out with One Piece. Ugh. But when I saw that they were coming out with a show based on Cowboy Bebop a year ago, I'm gonna be real, I was pretty excited. I still had high hopes for it, and I thought that they would at least make it about as awesome as the anime. Now, the show wasn't as bad as I expected it to be, and to be real, it wasn't as terrible as the internet is making it out to be, but it definitely wasn't something amazing that could top off any show that came out on Netflix around the time or any other streaming service. But with all that being said, let's talk about it for a second. So, before we talk about the Netflix series and probably rip it apart a little bit, let's first talk about the anime that it's based off of. So, what is Cowboy Bebop? Well, it's an anime from the late 90s, early 2000s about a ragtag group of bounty hunters traveling to stars to hunt down different bounties while getting into misadventures while on the job. Unlike most anime I watched like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball, Cowboy Bebop had a deeper, more complex meaning to itself. Characters dealing with their past and how it affects them in the present, jazz-oriented action scenes, and a cool-headed martial arts badass protagonist. Get an A-class anime series that is among legendary status. From t-shirts, cosplays, fanboys drooling over Faye, this anime was the shit to this very day. Hell, it was so awesome that it even got a more kick-ass movie 3 years later after the anime ended. So, with a legacy as big as Cowboy Bebop, of course it would be a no-brainer for Netflix to make an adaptation, despite the fact that they've done other live-action based stuff that wind up sucking, but we have to give them a fair deal here. I mean, come on. It's Cowboy Bebop, remember? With so much material that came from the anime, they couldn't possibly drop the ball on this one, right? Right? Well, I guess the first thing I want to go ahead and talk about is what killed the show for me was the writing. Whether you're writing an adaptation of something or whether you're writing your own thing, even if it bears some similarities or tropes to other works, you want to make sure that you have some identity to what you are writing. And that's the problem I have with this series, is when I keep asking the question, what the hell does it want to be? There are moments in the show that are taken straight out of the original anime that I felt like are trying way too hard. For example, this opening scene from the first episode. Bad guys holding a place hostage? Check. Leader of the game preaching about how the world sucks? Check. Spike walks in nonchalant with headphones to throw off the bad guys? Check. Spike starts throwing down with the bad guys with Jet coming in through the ceiling to get a drop on him?
Goddamn Spike!
Check. Check. And the whole scene ending with Spike saying,
Just a humble bounty hunter, man.
Just a humble bounty hunter, man.
check-a-roonie. Now, if you check your bingo cards, this whole scene was ripped straight out of the opening to the Cowboy Bebop movie. The setup, the dialogue, all of it. With the exception of the impending doom of being sucked into space. Even the music used in this scene when Spike is fighting the bad guys was ripped out of the movie too, but it was during the scene where Spike was involved in a dogfight with the military and the swordfish by the end of the movie. Hell, even the show's intro tries so hard to make itself look like the anime, but it sort of comes off as a high schooler trying to pull off the Cowboy Bebop theme song. But worse. You guys remember the old days on the internet when fans were literally making fan-made trailers to popular stuff like Sonic or Harry Potter?
Way past cool, huh?
Yeah, the intro kind of comes off like that. There's also moments that they taken from the anime series as well, but they decided to put a few changes here and there. So let me go ahead and give you a couple of examples. In the anime, Jet used to be on the police force until his girlfriend up and left him, and while on a case, he was caught in an ambush that caused him to lose his left arm, which led to him leaving the force and becoming a bounty hunter. In this show, well, he still loses his arm, but he is now a divorced ex-husband slash father whose wife is shacking up with his ex-co-worker, whom she had an affair with. What the f? Faye still suffers from amnesia like in the anime, but in the anime she met a guy named Whitney Haggis Matsumoto when she came out of cryosleep, and he became one of her early love interests, until it was revealed that he was a sleazy con artist who screwed her over and faked his death and left her with all his debts. But in the Netflix series, Whitney is instead a female con artist who stole Faye's identity and acted as Faye's mother throughout her life in order to get away from her crazy ass husband. Julia in the anime was a mysterious pinnacle in the love triangle between herself, Spike, and Vicious, and in this show she's now the secret villain who's not only not in hiding to protect herself and Spike from the Syndicate, but is in fact married to Vicious and wants to find a way to get out of the Syndicate and to get away from him. Vicious? Oh, hippity hoppity Christ, Vicious. Vicious, instead of being a cold-hearted soldier who will do anything to get what he wants, is now a jealous boyfriend from a Drake music video with serious daddy issues. In other words, Vicious is a little bitch.
Mushy mushy.
Hello, Vicious. My spider sense is tingling. I'm being watched.
These changes don't really do much, but kind of set up a certain split when it comes to the show. It's like one part wants to be like the anime that it's based on, but another part wants to be another Netflix noir style drama series. And honestly, I wouldn't even have a problem with that. If Netflix wants to make their own noir style drama series, then they can do that. More power to them. But for God's sakes, why did you have to take Cowboy Bebop and try to change so much of it? This only leads to the series feeling kind of confused with its identity, where the original anime knew how to blend in different styles and genres and still somehow made it work for what it's going for. There were episodes of them going on another bounty hunt. There were episodes focused on horror. There were episodes focused on their past, and plenty of comical moments that made you enjoy these characters that you were traveling with on the Bebop. And there are moments that kind of gave me that feel when I was watching this show, but it also makes me feel like it's having an identity crisis. I feel like I'm watching a completely different show at times, and then next thing you know, the only thing that kept reminding me was the character's name or the look that it was trying to go for. But other than that, the writing for it just made it just confusing as all hell.
It is though.
But the writing was only just the tip of the iceberg. Let's go ahead and talk about another problem with the series, and that is the action scenes. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Hands down, my favorite part when it comes to the anime were the action scenes. They were the moments that got you pumped anytime something's going down and that sweet jazz music hits you. And seeing Spike throw down during these fights in the most nonchalant way almost gives the illusion that he was doing a little dance to the music. The action is fast, unpredictable, and follows the rhythm so fluently that it is a masterpiece in and of itself. The Netflix series, well...
What the actual fuck?
Real talk, one of my homeboys said that he gave up on this series in the first episode, and only because of the fact that the action was slow as all shit. So that should tell you something right there. The fights in this show were just slow as all hell. I can understand that this isn't an anime and the characters can't move as quickly as they would if this was an animation, but I will say that I've seen enough kung fu movies to know that this is terrible fighting. The fights feel sluggish and the choreograph looks rehearsed, and these characters look like they're not fighting because they're believing that their life is in danger. they're fighting and like they're going through a dress rehearsal, and it just doesn't feel all that real to me. The gunfights are pretty standard too, and sometimes can get a little boring, and it doesn't really give the same hype as, oh shit, it's about to go down up in here, versus, oh, well, shit's going down up in here. Okay. The action scenes in this goddamn show makes Rumble in the Bronx look like the next Raid movie. How do you screw up the action scenes that bad? And look, I get it. John Cho is literally in his 40s. Most of these characters can't move as quickly as the anime. But good God almighty, I've seen enough martial arts movies to know that you can literally get stunt doubles. You can literally train hard to move this quickly. How? How do you make the action in Cowboy Bebop so unenjoyable to watch?
I gotta leave, okay?
John, we just started. Come on, man.
Listen, there's a lot to see in this life. Not wasting it here.
Okay, let me calm down for a second. Let me chill. If there's any saving grace that I could say that this show has at this point, it would be both the casting and the music. Now, let's start by talking about the casting. We got John Cho as Spike Spiegel, Mustafar Sakir as Jet Black, and Daniela Pineda as Faye Valentine. Now, let me go ahead and say a few bad criticisms just so I can get them out the way. The characters feel like stereotypes of themselves. In the original anime series, Spike is a cool, laid-back dude with an I don't care attitude, one of the many reasons why he's the most likable character. But in the Netflix series, he's more sarcastic, cold-hearted, and has no qualms about killing his targets, bounty or otherwise. Oh, and apparently his name isn't really Spike in this version, but apparently his name is Fearless. You know, like how his mortal enemy's name is Vicious. God damn, this is stupid. The original Jet acts like something of a father figure, but it would make more sense because of the fact that he's really frustrated with his crewmates, and he always acts as a moral compass for all of them. Well, mostly for Spike. With Faye, he pretty much gets annoyed easily and he just wants her off his ship. But here, he's even more angry, more irritated, and acts like he's got a stick up his ass most of the time. But to be fair, you would feel the same way if you had this version of Spike as your partner. Let's be real. With Faye, the original was an opportunistic, sassy, manipulative woman, but also she had a caring heart which was heavily guarded because of the life she lives. But this Faye is all those things, but with the sass turned all the way up and feels the need to curse as much as humanly possible.
Welcome to the ass, motherfuckers!
Like, I genuinely don't have a problem with characters cursing. Like, hell, I am a huge Deadpool fan and I love the Deadpool movies and I've watched them more times than I can count, but that's because Deadpool is actually funny. Here, Faye's not funny. It feels like she's cursing just because she's trying to curse, and I don't really see the point in her cursing this often unless the writers are literally trying to make sure that this show gets a mature rating, to which the anime had a mature rating but didn't need to curse this much. Hell, they didn't even need to kill people all that much. Well, actually, yes, they did. And when it comes to Vicious and Julia...
You think I'm vicious? You don't know what vicious is!
These two are the worst characters in the show by far. For one, the original Vicious was a cold-hearted, opportunistic, and terrifying presence in the original. He was so terrifying that when you first see him, you know that he is bad luck. You know that he means to fuck up some shit. And now we're replaced with an always unhinged, over the top, and the most goofiest antagonist to ever appear in the show, who likes to try to look and feel threatening, but it feels like he's ready to shit his pants and look like he just stumbled onto the wrong set. He does not look threatening. He does not look intimidating. He does not look like someone who's going to set the world on fire. He looks like a satire of a villain. He doesn't look like a villain. He looks like a satire. And second, Julia, instead of being the mystery woman in Spike's life whom he longs for and searches for, is now seen all the time and married to Vicious. And every time these two show up on the screen, it gets so boring that I just tune it out until Spike and the rest of the Bebop gang show up on the screen again. Alright, so now that we got all that out of the way, I really did enjoy the casting choices though.
No, not you.
John Cho, in my opinion, played a wickedly cool Spike Spiegel, and the rest of the crew are just so much fun to watch. When they're not chasing down bad guys, seeing them interact with each other is always fun to watch. My favorite is episode 5 when Jed decides to go back and look into the old case that ruined his career. Faye and Spike have their little bonding moment by sitting down and talking about the worst bounties they ever come across. And then they start showing off their trophies, which is their scars, for them to see. It gives you a sense of fun when you see them react to one another, and it kind of makes the show a little bit more bearable to watch. And some of the emotional scenes they give off makes you feel for them too. Seeing Faye try to reconnect with Whitney in episode 7, showing how much she desires to be a part of an actual family, and how there's some parts of her that still sees Whitney as her real mother. But because she has no memory of her past and was abandoned by Whitney herself, that was the only thing closer to the mother that she had, she becomes distant and more standoffish to everybody around her. Though Jet being a dad is something new in the Netflix series I'm trying to get used to, I still kind of like the idea. It gives him a bit more of that humanity to where he's a bit more relatable. He tries to provide for his kid, tries to get along with his wife, and even tolerate the douchebag cop that she left him for. Dealing with all that while hunting down dangerous bounty hunters shows that Jet is willing to do anything he can to protect the small things in his life that gives him joy. And to see him extend that type of care to his crew, it's always nice to see. Hell, even Spike with all his cynical and sarcastic humor manages to bring a lot of fun to the character. And I know a lot of people have different reasons for why John Cho wasn't the best choice, and the stupidest reason being his age, but we're not going to get into that. I personally think he did a great job portraying the character, but in a much different way. Instead of a man searching for something that he's lost so long ago and can't really outrun his past, this is a man trying to bury his old life, but always finds himself pulled back into it or being hunted down because of it. It's little touches like these that really made me want to stick around to watch the rest of the show. Until all that gets f***ed over with the Vicious and Julia scenes, because again, I didn't f***ing care. But enough of that, let's talk a little bit about the music. Yoko Kanno returns as the composer for this show, and although there were certain scenes where you could tell she composed it just for the Netflix show, I will go ahead and give one criticism that some of the other songs felt like they were ripped out of the anime. But other than that, it was fine. It gets me hyped up, and then it gives me a reason to want to go back and listen to the soundtrack on YouTube. That's all I got for this one. The music is great, I love the soundtrack, and I love listening to it. So there we go. Moving on with this one. So to wrap up this whole thing, what more can I say about the Netflix series? Well,
for some reason, I didn't feel sad or broken up. It just didn't seem real.
Okay, so it wasn't the best adaptation of the anime, but I'm not gonna pretend like it was the worst adaptation to exist. I've seen worse. I've experienced worse. I could make a whole video about the many differences between the show and the anime, but I don't really feel like beating a dead horse on YouTube. And let's be real here, if you just search up Cowboy Bebop Netflix, you will find dozens and dozens of videos of people bashing the show. And despite the hate behind the show that led to an early cancellation, there are still fans out there that are still faithful to this version. Hell, there's even a petition out there for a new season to be made. And if that wasn't crazy enough, there's even a comic book series that's being released by Titan Books as we speak. But the show definitely wasn't anything like the anime. Far from it, actually. But there are still some things to like about it in the long run. But let's just take it as a learning experience for Netflix to stop making live action anime. Just freaking stop. What do I know? What do you guys think about the Netflix Cowboy ripoff? If you like it, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below and tell me why. If you don't like it, leave it down in the comments. Be respectful, please. Anyway, I'm Crazy Kent. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.